Hello and welcome back to another episode of Otakuology Podcast. I'm your host, Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is Jen. It's the Prince Graves. And
I'm really up.
today
I'm really upgrading here.
we are talking about episode 3 of Lazarus, A Long Way From Home.
Yeah, we are, Choom.
I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was. I don't feel like this was like a little bit of like a slower paced episode.
I just want to say, and we will come back to this at the end of it. I think my guess on our first podcast that was a shot in the dark, or on our first episode of this, was 100% correct.
What was that? Because I forgot what it was.
Where I said that the Dr. Skinner was basically bluffing the entire world on that this was going to kill them all.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay, well let's get into it and let's discuss this when we get in.
I think so. And if this is true and we get all the way through this and it's true, I need like the company that made this to send me like $5.
Because I have a question or a theory when we get into this particular part of the episode.
Okay. So not really leading off of anything from the last episode.
No.
Except they were talking about the computer hacker people still.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a thing.
Which we find out there's only 3 really good computer hackers in the world that could do something that happened, which was replace everybody's face with Skinner's face.
Yeah.
And
then one of the other things that happened in this episode was there was a part on basically like Google Maps, whatever this world's Google Maps are.
Yeah.
And there was a spot where that one spot was all blacked out on the map.
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge area, but it was enough. So at least we know like what this person's kind of credentials are. And I just have to say, like, I thought we had one of the best hackers, and this other person seems like they're blowing our girl out of the water. So,
you're talking about Elena?
Yeah.
Yeah, which she labels herself as like the 3rd best hacker, I think it was, or
yeah, and I'm like
3.
I'm like, your ass is getting schooled.
Yeah, which she is looking for for Skinner. She's been looking for Skinner this whole time, and they don't find him. But they do a little research and investigating to go look for stuff, which I thought it was interesting. They split up the team again.
Well, they really didn't. They did split part of the people off at the beginning, but then they almost sent the same people. I mean, this is very much Axel revolving, I would say.
Yeah.
Because he was in the first part and he was in the second part when they went somewhere else.
But we get Chris and Leland go to Skinner's house, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, they went to Skinner's house, which we know that this is Skinner's house. One, because all the people are hating and writing bastard on the windows and all this other stuff, but we also had seen the gardener guy out front when they did that little interview on the TV.
I love this scene where they're talking to the guards, and Leland's like, "Look, we're here with so and so cleaning. We're hired to clean. If you don't let us in, we're gonna stiff you with the bill and the cancellation fee."
Yeah,
which I thought was a pretty fun, clever way to get into the building, I have to say.
Yeah, it was, especially when I don't know how they did it, but they pulled it up and it was like he did it all on his phone. Leland did.
It was a calculator. He used a calculator on his phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love this thing where, like, which we still don't really know her, what she did to get into Lazarus. But Chris, according to her, she's a secret agent. She's like a spy.
Yeah.
Which I really wonder if that's true. That would be funny if, like, because Leland was like, are you really like a spy? Come on, that can't be true. And like, I'm kind of like, what if it is true? What if she is a spy?
I don't know. I mean, I could see her kind of as like the seductress type,
Yeah.
and like all the other ones that I've read, like Assassination Classroom. Miss Vitch is kind of that way, where she's more of like the seductress and
Miss
whatnot.
Vitch, is she a witch?
No, she's a bitch.
And also a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of like look around the room or the house for quite some time, looking for whereabouts of Skinner or possibly an antidote of some kind.
Yeah. Or if anybody had brought anything, other clues, whatever. And then the only thing that they did find was working in one of the couch cushions by accident. They found a really weird looking thing that kind of looks like
It looks like a pill.
yeah, like a corroded pill. I was trying to remember what the other stuff's name was, but
Hopna.
yeah, that's what it
I
is.
think Hopna had like a different shape to it or like color to it because they were like, "Oh,
Yeah,
is this Hopna?" And they're like, "I don't think it is." And Chris pockets the pill,
yeah,
which they kind of like are like questioning. Oh, is this like the antidote for Hopna?
yeah,
Which that would be really funny if they just found it that easily and didn't know they found it.
yeah.
Like that would be so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that this is probably, it looks like it, but it's probably not, or it was like an early version of Hopna, maybe.
Watch it be like Tylenol,
Yeah.
Tylenol
Because
or ibuprofen.
yeah, yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, but we do end up switching back from that after they leave to Doug and Axel,
Yeah.
and Doug and Axel do not like each other.
No, no. I mean, they're kind of from like totally different backgrounds, though.
Yeah,
Because Doug is obviously like kind of your science nerd guy.
yeah, he's very dignified. I feel like.
Yeah, and we did get part of his backstory in this, where he was. I can't remember the school, but it was almost like he was like at MIT, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, he was at a very prestigious school.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I feel like I hate on this, because I feel like he played up more of like a black stereotype, so to speak, of where.
Did the dean play up the black stereotype?
Well, I think he did. I think he did on the dean's
Well,
racism.
when we get into
So,
let's get into it when we get to that point. We can talk about it.
are we not at that point already?
Well, I mean, when we get into like meeting Jerry or as they call now Jill,
Well, him and Axel talked about it before they got there.
Oh, that's true, didn't they? Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Ugh,
Go ahead.
back off, bro.
I think they kind of touch on it, but he brings it back up later.
Well, they touch on it in this, I think, for us to get the backstory for him,
And that's how he got his like misdemeanor. I think it was right.
And maybe.
Okay.
No, he got his misdemeanor by doing something illegal. This one was only him hitting the guy. But no, I think it was with him, it was that trope of, like how a bunch of African American people get mad at somebody saying something that they can't do and then acting out in violence.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was, because I don't really feel like he's that character. To have that backstory, I don't really see.
He doesn't seem to come off as that type of character.
Yeah, but we had the dean of the school basically that was racist. That was, I think, really kiting for him, trying to get him to do that.
Yeah, he was basically like, your kind will amount to nothing.
Yeah, he said there will never be a Black Einstein.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And I think that's what triggered him, and he turned around and he punched him, and that's what got him kicked out of school. I think he still kind of got to work in that circle because of one of the professors kind of like saved him per se.
Yeah, I forget what the professor's name was, which that's who we actually go looking for. They go to try to find Claude. Claude Klein, I believe his name is.
Yeah, I think that's what his name is.
Yeah, and he was Doug's mentor, I believe.
Yeah, but this was really funny on how both of these backstories kind of meshed, because we have where we went to go find Claude.
Yeah,
at this kind of,
it's like a hospital.
Well, it's a homeless place. It's like a
they go to a hospital first, and they're like, oh, we can't find him. They've said that he got like fired or whatever, and they've heard rumors that he's homeless. And Axel is like, oh, I know a homeless place nearby that a friend of mine, kind of runs, named Jerry.
Yeah. And they've worked both of these kind of backstories together, which is funny.
Yeah.
So we go there, and it's a homeless camp. That's actually pretty huge. Like,
and it's kind of nice.
Yeah, like how everything really works out there.
Yeah, like they seem to have like a really well made like little community.
Yeah, and then they have like their own representative. I feel like their president.
They're still homeless. Don't get me wrong, but like it doesn't. They're not like living in like complete squalor.
Yeah, you just also have the person that you go talk to.
Yeah,
which is supposed to be Jerry. Well,
yeah, Jerry. I love the scene where they're asking about Jerry, and like Doug bends down to talk to this guy, and he's like, "Excuse me, sir, have you seen a guy named Jerry?" And the other guy turns to him, and he's like, "He can't see, he's blind."
Yeah,
I was like, "What?"
Well, and I was sitting there thinking, like, I wonder if that's going to be the guy that they were looking for, and he's in, like, incognito.
Oh, that would be really funny if it was.
Because the other weird thing is, too, like, the beard and stuff, even though, like, somebody was standing where, like, the hair would have been, the beard matches.
He had, like, a hat on, I believe.
Yeah, and then somebody, either... Axel or the other guy were kind of standing enough you couldn't see like his hair behind underneath the hat.
Yeah.
But no, I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, I wonder if that's
Claude.
Well, no, it kind of looked like Skinner.
Oh yeah,
like with the beard.
It does. I mean, their character designs look very similar.
And I was like, oh man, like when I first saw it, I was like, if they pull like a Ghost in the Shell on us, I swear to God.
Oh, we're like...
Yeah, because like if you really look at it, we never see the character up front. But in that episode, if you had read the insignia of the Smiling Man, or is it the Laughing Man?
Laughing Man.
It says, so what I thought I'd do is play a dumb, deaf, mute character or guy and see if I could get away with it or whatever. And that's what happens. He's successful of it. If we had known that at the beginning and gotten to that point, like we would have known when the character was first introduced.
That's a good pull, though, with the standalone complex Ghost in the Shell, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but I was sitting there looking at that and I was like, oh, and like, how would you like be like less conspicuous if people were like, oh, this guy's blind? Like it would take heat off of you. And I was like, if this is turning into like some kind of a mental game for all of us or whatever,
like, Skinner
what's going on?
Skinner could possibly be hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Well, and it could be the director or the producer of Lazarus, the person that makes the anime, giving us stuff in plain sight that maybe will also allude to something at the end.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe you never know.
I mean, that would be crazy, but
yeah, I mean, because they mentioned like they are theorized that maybe Skinner got plastic surgery or something like that. But then they're like, oh no, like if he went and did this, like he wouldn't have got plastic surgery type of thing. You
Yeah.
know, he's very much hiding in plain sight, probably.
Well, and I think that he hasn't done that only because we had that whole first video that came out of
Yeah,
him and he didn't change his appearance.
yeah.
So, like, how would it be like a live video feed that he did and then turned right around and got plastic surgery then? Like, that wouldn't make any sense.
Maybe he had a decoy.
But I could see that too, though.
Yeah.
But we get on like the next little group where Axel asks somebody, well, I'm looking for the boss, I'm looking for Jerry, and everybody's like, I don't know a Jerry, but I know a Joe. Who's Joe?
It's Jill.
Well, I thought the guy said Joe first, and then they turned it around to Jill, and I was like, what?
No, I believe they said Jill, and Jill, we find out, is actually Jerry, and I keep wanting to call him Spike. Axel. In my head, I'm like, Spike. No, it's Axel. Axel, like, knew Jill / Jerry in prison. That's how they met.
Yes.
And we come to find out that Jerry is now Jill, who is a transgender woman. I have to say, I really like the fact that they don't like I don't want to say like criminalize her, but like make her into like a walking stereotype.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know how animes like to very much stereotype like the LGBT, gay characters.
Yeah, where they seem more like they're a drag queen than they are.
Drag queen are very flamboyant.
Yeah.
Jill very much seems like a fully realized person.
Yeah.
She has her moments of like, oh, Axel, it's so excited to see you type of thing, and it's not like she's like pining for Axel. They're just friends.
Yeah.
Or trying to get in bed and flip Axel. Like I'm gonna throw out a reference, but Bob from Speedgrapher comes to mind.
Bob from Speedgrapher.
I think his name was Bob. He was Saito's like next door neighbor.
I don't know. We'd have to look at that.
Yeah, he would show up.
I remember that.
He would show up like only when the main character of Speedgrapher was at home. You're like, hey Bob, how's it going? Or you're like, hey Saito, how's it going? You want to come over and have a little fun tonight? Yeah, like he
We'll have to cover that. I don't remember that part.
I don't even know if Speedgrapher's like streaming anywhere.
It will somewhere.
I mean, I have all the Speedgrapher, so I can easily watch it. We're gonna maybe like, I gotta go find it on eBay.
Right?
Yeah.
Charge it to the show.
Charge it to the show.
Yeah.
No.
I thought it was really good. I mean, the other thing is like how homey Jill ended up being.
Yeah.
Because like they go into her tent and they're kind of sitting there like doing all this stuff, and there's like a plate of cookies like sitting there. Like, I mean, it was fucking wholesome. Like,
yeah, and she like we see Doug start asking her about the professor, Claude.
Yes.
Yeah, Professor Claude. And she's like, look, okay, there's things we do around here. We don't ask people about their past and stuff. And she's like, look, I'm like an ex-convict who is now a transgender woman. Like, do you really think, I need to be messing with this kind of stuff or whatever? Which she makes a valid point, like the way people perceive her in the world,
This is true.
And he brings out people perceived me this way, and he brings up his whole, no black man can be better than Einstein or whatever,
Yeah.
Which they kind of come to like a little mutual agreement in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we had gotten a little more of Jill's backstory, but I
Yeah,
guess for right now that'll be good enough.
or even just like a conversation between the two.
Yeah,
A more like in-depth conversation in between the two, I guess you could say.
yeah. But I do like where Axel really didn't like try and judge Jill anymore. Like,
Yeah, no,
whoa, that's so cool.
he was like, that's my friend Jill.
Yeah,
He I think he was a little taken aback when he first saw her,
yeah,
but he was like, "What?" But
yeah,
like he was like, "Oh, that's my friend. Everything's okay." He
yeah,
was just kind of surprised. The word, I guess you could say, surprised a little bit.
yeah,
And we get this little interesting story within a story where we see Axel playing basketball for $20, and we see Doug playing or side playing chess for Claude, which is
yeah.
how we meet Claude in the park. Which when Claude and Doug are talking, did you pick up on the fact that Claude might have like Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
Because it seemed like he had like Alzheimer's or like some kind of dementia or something.
Yeah, because he kept forgetting stuff.
Yeah, he kept forgetting stuff and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would say yes, I felt that way.
Uh huh.
I don't know if they were leaning that character into that.
Okay.
Um, I took it more of it was more of the traumaticness of him knowing what he did and trying to kind of like run away from it and trying to forget all of it, which inadvertently um, kind of put a damper on like things that he did try and remember slash
Mm-hmm.
not remember.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what they were trying to put it off as or not.
And so they start talking and whatnot, and we find out that Skinner really, really liked his grandmother's baklava.
Well, we find out that Claude and Skinner actually work together.
That's what true. Yeah. Also, yes, that's true as
Yeah,
well. Yes.
they work together, and then Claude felt like he was never going to catch up to Skinner because Skinner was like this brilliant mind,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically to feel like he could catch up, he kind of cheated and outdid some of his work, kind of wrote it up different, and it ended up getting him caught and disbarred.
Is
Or
that what
not
happened?
disbarred. Yeah, he some of his tests for
Yes.
whatever his thing was ended up basically being not proven.
I remember now. Okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they end up finding this little nugget of information. They track down that Skinner's grandmother, who
Well,
made.
let's go back to the basketball game real quick.
Okay, let's start the basketball game.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we have where I keep wanting to call him Leland, but I know that's not what this other guy's name is. It's
Axel?
not Axel, the other guy.
Doug?
Doug. I keep thinking of Doug as like Doug from, Pork Chop and Skeeter and everything. Yeah. So every time I think of Doug, I'm like, that guy's not a Doug, but yeah. Um we go kind of back to where Doug is talking to Jill and whatnot, how like Axel's never been this violent person or anything else, which we've kind of understood that, I think,
Yeah.
with the side conversations he's gotten into with different people. And so we get a little bit more of like the past of like how they met and some stuff. Not really a lot, like I said, I feel like that could have been fleshed out more. But Axel being our main character, I would say maybe that doesn't exactly matter at this point because we'll probably get more of Axel as we go.
Yeah, we
You
also
know?
kind of found out that he kind of can like make any place his home.
Yeah. He
And
he makes friends really fast.
and he kind of just up and vanishes. So he's kind of like a wanderer almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but we also see this whole part where Jill also says that, Axel's always been a really good guy. Um,
Yeah.
And we get to see that in the basketball game because he whoops this other guy's
Oh,
ass.
yeah, he does.
Which is just a young African American teenager that is really feeling his oats, saying like, "Hey, man, I can make an easy $20."
Yeah.
And Axel just schools him, and then Axel says, "Hey, man, like, just don't lean into it so hard with people. Like, pick your target, essentially."
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
was really great coming from Axel on all that. And I think that was probably the only time where I really kind of felt that possibly at one point before the transition, maybe like Jill Jerry maybe at one point had a little bit of a crush on Axel.
Maybe.
Um,
Maybe.
but that's more speculation. I can't really tell you anymore on that. But then, like you were saying, we got a little thing on Grandma's baklava, which seemed like the weirdest fucking hint.
Grandma Belinda's baklava,
Yeah,
which they're like, oh, she lives in like, where was it?
Istanbul.
Istanbul, that's what it was,
Yeah,
yeah. And like, it's gonna take 9 hours to get there. Use the turbo tubes. And I'm like, the
yeah,
turbo tubes? What are they talking about? It's like this tube train thing that they use.
yeah.
And
It's what are they in Japan?
the
The
high speed bullet trains.
yeah, it's like a bullet train but faster.
Yeah. And because they're in like the US at this time, and I guess they
Yeah,
built these tubes to
yeah, like everywhere.
to travel across the world almost, you know?
Yeah. Um, did you feel like I just said it?
Uh,
Like that was kind of a far stretch though for this baklava thing.
I do.
Because when he was like, "Oh well, I do remember him," and I was like, "How the fuck is this like one thing like
So
gonna be our
see,
tie-in to the rest of this?"
here's the thing. With what we got already before we get up to the baklava thing,
Yeah,
was kind of felt like one story in into itself, and it could have probably been its own little episode.
yeah,
And I felt like we kind of got like two stories like smushed into one, or two episodes smushed into one almost.
yes.
Is the way it seems. And yeah, I feel like it's a little bit of a stretch.
It was a rough lean, I'll tell you.
Roughly. But they end up going to Istanbul, which they send Axel and Leland. And Leland is dressing up in his finest. I don't know what he was wearing.
Oh my gosh, he bought like a whole uniform for oh,
for
what
Turkey.
is it called?
They're in Turkey, right?
Yeah, Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah.
It was like, jeez,
It was
I
like the
can't.
normal thing like the men would wear.
Yeah, I can't remember what their garb is called.
Yeah, I don't remember what he had like the not like a turban on, but like forget what exactly he had on, but
Yeah,
he was wearing their traditional like garb that they wear.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and Axel's like, man, you really know how to stand out, and he's like, no, I'll be okay. I'm fitting in, wearing the local clothes,
yeah,
which he doesn't stand in. He doesn't. He stands out a lot.
yeah. He does.
He's a white boy, obviously, which they get accosted by these punk kids. Which it's funny to see how they like split up the teams
Yeah,
in a sense, and how the different team dynamics kind of work.
yeah,
And which even the team is questioning, like, why did they send these two out there?
yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
and I think
and
Chris says because he has grandma energy or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
I think it was, or
Well,
grandson energy. That's what it was.
and somebody when he got picked, I think that somebody just knew a little extra that we didn't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they end up getting like accosted by these like punk kids, these street ruffians,
Yeah, they
and
did.
they just seeing how like they both react to this, and they he's like, okay, like let's fight, and then he's like, nope, we're gonna run. with Axel, he, like, fakes him out, and seeing how Leland tries to keep up with Axel was pretty hilarious.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I love the part with the little girl.
Oh, yes.
Where she's playing with her dolls and she's like, "Oh, I need a prince. Please send me a prince for whatever game she's playing."
Yeah.
And he falls through the roof and she goes, "Oh, my prince is here."
Yeah, we can have tea now, which is really funny. And then it goes from funny to, like, super serious, to where these guys want the watch or whatever that Leland has on his arm, and they're going to cut it off of him.
Yes.
They're going to cut his hand off. And I was like, oh no, it's gone from bad to worse, you know?
Yes.
And he's like, well, I just want some of Grandma Belinda's baklava. And they're like, baklava?
What?
Okay.
Grandma Belinda?
Okay. And they
we
take
can do that for you.
They take them to Grandma Belinda.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was easy.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Oh.
I mean, that's some of the stuff in this right now. I'm just kind of like, this is such a far stretch. I don't, you know, like it was funny that happened.
Yeah.
But I was just like, this is kind of weird.
Yeah. No, yeah. It was funny though, which they get there. And I think, like, she gives the kids baklava too or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's like all she does. Yeah. That's like all that she does.
Which she has this house kind of in the middle of Istanbul or whatever. And they get invited in, and she's like, oh, so you want some of my baklava or whatever? And you're like, yeah. And we also want to talk to you about your grandson.
Yeah.
Which I love the fact that Axel, he like tells her like, oh, we're spies. And she like wholeheartedly believes they're spies.
Yes. Yeah.
Like,
and I feel like every time he gets in a conversation like that, he's always playing himself up. Like he's almost running this whole thing happening to them as a movie in his brain.
Which I love. And I love when he was like, oh yeah, we're spies. And she's like James Bond, do you have a license to kill? And he's like, yeah, of course we do. And in seeing Leland's reactions to the conversation that's going on, and he never like really says anything about it. You just see him like choke on his tea or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it was just a funny little reaction. And we find out that she hasn't seen her grandson in like, I think 3 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
So around the time that Hopna was made or whatever, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And she ends up getting like a video from him and stuff saying, oh, I hope everything's fine. I can't wait to have some of your baklava and stuff. And they kind of like are ready to leave. And Axel was like, no, like he wants to keep her safe.
Yeah.
And he wants to keep tabs on her. So like he actually finds a hidden camera in the house, and he's like, we're coming for you, basically. Like, we're coming for you. You can't do nothing about it. Which triggers, I forget, but for the Elena,
it's somebody 909.
Yeah, somebody 909, like their virtual wallet or whatever they call it, it's activated, which she put like these virtual traps down or whatever, and it gets triggered, and they might have the location of Skinner or somebody who's been watching through these cameras. And that's where we end the episode, is with that. I would say a little bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. We did have a little bit of a cliffhanger in terms of that. But so that whole thing, like, because we got to watch it. You know, I feel like that is probably the big one where it is Skinner. It's Skinner's play that nothing's going to happen.
So did you see sense? We dropped from 28 days left to 26 days left.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of a big jump, I feel like, a little bit.
28 to 26?
Yeah.
I think it was both the things that happened in our episode. Like, they essentially think that every time we do something, it's going to take one day.
I mean, that's what I thought would happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did actually really enjoy this episode.
I did too. I enjoyed this episode. I felt like the video that he left Grandma was the one that I was telling you about. Probably leading us in the direction of that this is a fluke, because he said, you know, after all this is over, basically, you know, I'll see you again.
Yeah.
And if he knew, if this was planned out like he said it was, I don't think that he would have told her that.
Yeah, possibly. It just really makes me think, like, is this a fluke? I'm really curious if they actually found the cure already. And nobody has mentioned that.
And that's what I'm saying. I think that part, like that little pill thing that we saw, is going to be like what you said. It's going to be Tylenol. It's going to be something else. And it's going to basically be like our thing that's throwing people off, because I bet next episode they'll send it to the lab, and the episode after that we'll get the results back of that. Oh, well, it's Tylenol or it's something else.
I did like this episode because I felt like it was a little bit slower paced.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit more about the characters, a little bit more insight to each character and stuff. Which I'm kind of glad we had a little bit of a slower paced episode, because like the last two are very like pretty action heavy.
Yeah.
And we haven't really had much time to like just sit in this world.
Yeah. Well, and we did get the little action phase on this one, which seems like that's kind of what it is we'll get one big burst of action here and there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are kind of learning that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of stuff to this, I feel like.
It was fun. Did you watch, by chance, the intro opening for this episode?
Just a little bit.
Oh, you didn't watch the whole like intro?
No, I didn't watch the whole thing.
I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on it, your take on the intro itself.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's a lot of words that are mixed into it that are also something that we have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I think that's really what the moving factor of this show is that there is some information in that, and what they give you up front, even though it seems like the opener really doesn't change visually.
I think there is subtle hints about what's been going on.
Yeah.
Because we've been getting each individual character's point of view of like before Hopna and after Hopna type of thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think it's really interesting to think about in that sense, and like how they view the world at this moment.
Yeah.
But I was really more talking about like the music at the beginning, where they have like the opening and stuff.
Oh, I don't think I saw that then.
Okay. That's what I was talking about. Because I was like, I wanted to get try not to skip it next time, because I want to know what you think of it. Because it is so reminiscent to Tank from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like the visuals are very Cowboy Bebop-esque. Like, it could be like a Cowboy Bebop imitation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean, I feel like that you could kind of see that with like the Ender a little bit.
Yeah. Because that much feels like real folk blues a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I liked it. I thought it would be very much like built up in the universe a little bit here and there. And
Yeah.
I really have to stop myself from like just binging the rest of it at this moment because it's not all out yet. I think the last episode ends like this month that we're recording.
Probably. Because doesn't it come out like every week?
Yeah, I think it's like every week, once a week. Which I have to stop myself. Like I don't want to binge it, like because
I can't go on yet.
I can't go on yet, you know. And I feel like I feel like taking my time and like watching it week to week, like we used to watch anime back in the day, you know, like on TV. I feel like I very much have been enjoying it a lot more in a sense.
Yeah.
And like really absorbing the material that we're watching. Like I don't know, like I've thoroughly enjoyed what we've watched so far,
Yeah.
which I'm very surprised. Unless I'm on a different part of the internet or whatever, like I don't see a lot of people talking about this show.
This is also true because I don't see anything about this like anywhere. So I kind of wonder if it's just kind of one of those gems that like nobody really knows about.
Because I mean, it's playing on Adult Swim right now.
This is true.
You know, like
this is true. Yeah,
and it's streaming on HBO Max. Like I don't know if maybe people just don't have the availability to watch it anymore or what. Like, but like you think a show from Shinichiro Watanabe would be like huge again, you know,
yes.
and reach the levels that like Bebop and Champloo reached, and Kids on the Slope and Space Dandy, you know, but like nobody seems to be talking about this show.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me a little sad. I think I saw one video on YouTube of people that I actually like, of creators that I actually watch, like anime creators, like YouTube content creators.
Yeah.
One video popped up recently about it. And I watch a lot of like anime YouTube like stuff. It's weird just to see just one video.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. I think I saw it like once when something first came out about it, but after that, I don't think I've seen it again.
Yeah.
And that's just that to me, I feel like is a little weird. Just based off of that, like you wouldn't think like because I mean, anytime we've done like a newish type anime, like it seems like if we started a week after it came out, like nobody shuts up about it.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna run into it no matter where you look. And it seems really weird that this one there's not really any of that going on.
I think this started like last month.
Yeah.
So like fairly recently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, besides you and me, like I haven't heard anybody talk about this like at all.
Yeah. Well, it's sad, and I hope more people will end up checking it out.
Yeah, well, maybe by the time that happens, we'll have enough of these done in our roster, and everybody will start going. Let me see if a podcast has covered this on like, iTunes or on Spotify or whatever, and then we'll pop up and it'll be like, yeah. I gotta listen to these guys.
I just want to say thank you to the people who are listening to our podcast. If you go check out our YouTube channel, we are almost to 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel. We're very close.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a live soon on we try to do one like twice a month on Saturdays. But check out our other social medias on YouTube, Instagram, rate and review the podcast, reach out to us, leave us a comment on our podcast. We'll talk about it on the YouTube channel if you leave a comment.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. But I want to say thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Yeah. See you next Tuesday.